Hi, everyone. So, welcome to today's edition of Immigration Q&As with Attorney Lilian. So, today we will be talking about getting a green card through your U.S. citizen children. So, that is what we'll be talking about today, and I will be taking your questions live. So, if you have any immigration related questions, please feel free to put them in the comments, and I will answer those questions for you right here today. And if you are watching this on the replay, thank you so much for watching, and please do feel free to leave your comments, your questions in the comments, so that I can get back to you and answer your questions as well. So the questions are not just for people watching live. If you watch this on the replay and you have a question, feel free to put it in the comments. So we are going to get started and get right into how a U.S. citizen child can file for their parent to get status. Okay, that's what we are going to be focusing on today. So who am I? I am Lilian Chukura. I'm an immigration lawyer based in Worcester, Massachusetts. However, I have the privilege of representing clients from all over the U.S. and all over the world. So how do I do this, right? That's the question I get all the time, is how can I meet with you if I'm in another state or another country? Well, we can meet either through Zoom or over the phone. So you can schedule a Zoom consultation or a phone consultation with me, and we will do a full case evaluation and figure out what immigration benefits you qualify for and how to make it possible for you to get status in the US. So if you do want to schedule a consultation with me, feel free to give me a call at the number on your screen. It is 508-443-1788. And if you are just joining us, we are going to be talking about getting status through your U.S. citizen children. And if you have questions about that or any other immigration related questions, feel free to pop that in the comments so that I can answer your questions. This Q&A that I do, I try to do these at least twice a month, and this is really your opportunity to ask me questions that you may have about immigration. I am here for you, so feel free to ask your questions. There's no one thing I do want to say is there's no stupid questions. If you do not know the answer to something, feel free to put it in the comments, and I will respond to you. So do not feel that you can't ask me certain questions. And the other thing is, if you want to ask me a question, but you don't want to be identified, please feel free to pop your questions in Lily Legal Messenger. So you just send me a DM on Facebook, and I will gladly answer your questions live. So again, feel free to send me those questions, and I will answer it for you live on screen. So how can a U.S. citizen child file for a parent to get status in the U.S.? So it depends, right? So if you are a U.S. citizen child and you want to file for your parent to get status, there's certain requirements you have to meet. The first one being that you have to be at least 21 years of age, right? So if you are, let's say, if you're going to be 21 next week and you send in your application one day before you turn, if USCIS receives your application one day before you turn 21, they are not going to accept that. They're going to reject it. Most of the time, that's how they handle those. Hi, Matthias. Welcome. Welcome to the live. We are happy to have you here from Liberia. As always, please put your questions in the comments and we will answer you. Okay? So a U.S. citizen child has to be 21 on the day that the application is received by USCIS. So that's number one. That's the first requirement that every single child that wants to file for a parent has to meet. You have to be a US citizen and you have to be 21 when your application is received. Now, the other thing is, if your parent is in the US, it's a different process than if they are outside of the US. So if they are in the US, they are considered an immediate relative. So what does that actually mean? It means that there is a visa currently available for every single parent of every single US citizen child that's already 21, right? So you're not waiting for a visa to become available. That means if you file for your parent, you're just waiting for the processing time. If your parent is in the US, you being a US citizen waives the fact that they overstayed their visa when they came to the US. It waives the fact that they worked without authorization in the US, which are the two main things that stop people from getting status here, right? So if you work without authorization, technically, you cannot adjust status unless you are an immediate relative of a US citizen. I know. This is like something a lot of people don't know. And they always get scared. Well, Lily, I worked. Is this going to affect my application? No. If you lie about the fact that you worked and they find out that you lied, now it's going to affect you. However, if you are an immediate relative of a US citizen, right, it would not affect your application if you disclose that you worked in the US. Because those grounds of inadmissibility, those things that would have stopped you from getting status in the US, is now waived because you are an immediate relative of a US citizen. So as we're going, I'm going to recap certain things. So children that are US citizens that want to file for a parent have to be 21, and they must be 21 when their application is received. Not just because people sometimes send it 2 weeks before they turn 21. Unfortunately, those applications will most likely be rejected. So you have to wait till the person turns 21, or you have to make sure that the application is not received until they turn 21. So those are the things to keep in mind on that. So if you are, a parent of a US citizen and you are in the US and your child is now 21 or will soon be 21, this is an opportunity for you to basically get status in the US. So I always encourage my clients, we look at, that's why I always encourage people to schedule a consultation with me, because the point of the consultation is to figure out all the ways that you could potentially get status in the US. Okay, so we have a question from Kweku. He says, for me being a US citizen, can I file for my younger brother who is under 21? That is a great question. So there is an opportunity for you to file for a sibling as a US citizen. The only thing is, there is a long wait time. So you are looking at least 10 years of a wait time for a visa to become available. So if your brother is in the US, it's going to even be more tricky, because once a visa becomes available and they are out of status in the US, then you could potentially need a waiver and all these other stuff. But can you file for a brother? Yes, you can. It's just the time that it will take for a visa to become available is going to be longer. But I always encourage people to file because, listen, 10 years goes by really fast. And I tell people, the day you you become a US citizen, just look at how long it's been since you became a US citizen. If you filed the day you became a US citizen for your brother or your sister, the time that would have passed, all that time, you could have been, taken away on that 10 years, on that 12 years, depending on how long it's taken now for a visa to become available. So yes, you can definitely file for a younger brother if they are under 21. Yes. Another option is another option that I always give people is if you have a parent that you can file for to come to the US, once the parent gets their, once the parent becomes a green card holder, they can then file for your brother as well. That time frame is, as long as your brother doesn't get married in between, the time frame is usually shorter in those situations. So that's another thing to consider. And, like I said before, if you want to schedule a consultation, feel free to do so, because we can basically go through all the options that could be available for your brother to get here sooner. So, yeah, thank you for that question. And again, if you're just joining us, I will be talking about parents getting status through their US citizen children. And if you have questions about anything else related to immigration, please feel free to put it in the comments. This is a Q&A session. This is basically office hours, right? This is my office hours with you guys. So feel free to ask me your questions and I will answer them. Put them in the comments and I will answer them for you, okay? So let's just go back to the parents of US citizens, right? Parents of US citizens have a unique opportunity because they are considered immediate relatives. So if you are a US citizen child that's 21 and your parent is outside of the US, again, the only thing they're waiting for is the processing time, right? They're waiting for their visa application to be processed by USCIS, processed by the State Department, but they're not waiting for a visa to become available because there's already a visa available to them. They're just waiting for the processing time. So this is one of the quickest ways for parents to get status in the US, is by filing through a child that's already 21. And if you guys follow my page, you would know that there is a court order right now, an injunction in place stopping the government from applying the public charge rule. So this is a rule that applies to everyone filing for a family member, right? If you are filing for a family member, this rule is going to apply to your family member. So the public charge rule basically says if the US government, right, either the State Department, the officer at the embassy, or the officer at your green card interview decides that you could potentially need government assistance at some point in your time in the US, they can refuse to give you a green card based on that. Now, the court in New York basically said, well, we are in the middle of a pandemic, so you cannot apply this rule right now. This could change at some point, but as of right now, USCIS and the State Department, which is the agency that handles the embassies, are not allowed to apply the public charge rule to people applying for a green card or a visa through family. So this is a great opportunity if you are looking to file for a parent. This is a great opportunity to do that before there is before this injunction goes away. Okay, we have a question from Matthias. He says, can a grandmother who is a US citizen file for her grandson who is not in the US and he is above 21 years? So this is a great question because I get this all the time. And sometimes it's like a grandson applying for a grandmother. So unfortunately, with the way the immigration law is set up, this is not a possibility, right? So the grandmother can file for her own child, right? But not the grandson. So that's really where that becomes an issue, is when once you're skipping a generation, the US immigration laws do not allow for that. So the grandmother can file for their child, and then their child can file for the grandson. Right? So that would be the way that would work. So grandmother files for, let's say, the mother, and mother files for grandson. And that way, you'll have two generations basically getting status through the grandmother, but you can't skip a generation, especially when the person is already over 21. There's always, I always give the option of adoption depending on the situation. But in this situation, that wouldn't be a possibility because adoptions have to take place before the person is 16 years old. So, but yes, you would have to, the grandmother would then have to file for their child in order for the grandson to eventually get status through the grandmother, right? So thank you so much for that question. And then, like I said, please feel free to put your questions in the comments. This is office hours for me. This is for you to basically ask me your questions, whatever it is, and I am here to answer them. Okay, let's see. Francis has a question. Can a green card holder file for his or her children and mother? All right, that's a great question. So a green card holder can file for their children. So you can file for your children. The only children you cannot file for as a green card holder are married children. So once your child gets married, you have to be a citizen to file for them. But as a green card holder, you can file for children that are under 21, over 21, doesn't matter. But once they get married, you'll have to be a US citizen to file for them. And then for filing for your mother, you would have to be a citizen to file for a parent. So this is, filing for parents is strictly reserved for US citizens. So green card holders can file for their children and their spouse. So wife, husband, they can file for them, but not anyone else. So once, you know, once the person becomes a citizen, then they can file for their parents. Thank you so much for that question. That's a great question right there. So please do continue to put your questions in the comments so that I can continue answering them. And thank you so much for everyone that is on with me. Welcome to the office hours. I think I should just change the name of these lives to just office hours with Attorney Lilian, because that's really what I want this to be. I want you to feel that you can ask these questions. I am happy to answer them. And if you want more detailed and personalized case evaluation, where we really go through your history, your family, and figure out what are the best ways for you to get status or for you to give status to somebody else, this is, the best way to do that is to call my office, and we will schedule a consultation and really go through your entire history and figure out the best way to basically help you start your immigration journey. That's what I'm here for, and I am always happy to do that, okay? So in this office hours, like I said, it is all about parents getting status through their US citizen children, because this is one of the best ways for individuals in the US to get status. So for example, if you came to the US, you overstayed your visa, and you worked without authorization, right? There's only really two ways for you to get status through a family member, right? You must be an immediate relative of a US citizen for those things to be waived. That's really the main thing. You want those things to be waived so that you can adjust your status in the US and not have to leave and apply for a waiver and all of those things. So really, that's what, those are the options out there. And I really want people to take advantage of those options, because, this immigration law is changing every single day, right? The things that are possible are changing every single day. So we need to make sure that the things that are possible today, that you are taking full advantage of that and not wait until later, because we don't know what's going to change. So it's really important that you take advantage of what you can in helping either yourself or a family member gain status in the US. So one more question. Let's see. Can a green card holder file for adopted children? Yes. Right? Yes, but depending on the country, if the country is a signatory of the Hague Conventions, there are certain things that will need to be done before the person can actually complete the adoption process. You might need a home study, but again, it just depends on the country and the process in the home country that you're adopting from. So if you already completed the adoption, again, you would need to make sure that it's completed the right way, because if it's not, you might have to basically start all over again. So is it possible? Yes, definitely. But I will also suggest, if that's the route you're going to go with that, scheduling a consultation, so that we make sure that the process that you went through is the right one and that you are able to actually file for your children. Okay. So if you are just joining us, thank you. And if you're watching on the replay, thank you. And feel free to put your questions in the comments. These are, this is Q&A with Attorney Lilian, and I'm Attorney Lilian. I'm an immigration lawyer. So I am really here for you. I am here to answer your questions and help you basically either start, continue, figure out your immigration journey, right? We need to figure out what the next steps are, either in your immigration journey or a family member's immigration journey. That's what we're here for. And I am so happy to see people on and asking questions, because these are questions that other people probably have and are not asking. So please feel free to continue to put your questions and I will continue to answer them. Let's see. Francis, you are on fire today. Yes. Ask all your questions. How long will it take to get your green card under the LRIF after submitting all the documents required? So for those that don't know, the LRIF is the Liberian Refugee Immigration Fairness Act. So that basically allows for Liberians that have been in the US since November 20th, 2014 to be able to gain a green card. So if you are a Liberian and you have been in the US on or before November 20th, 2014, and you have continuously lived in the US, this is a great opportunity for you to apply for a green card in the US, right? This waives the present without authorization thing. So if you overstayed your green card, sorry about that. If you overstayed your visa, you can apply through this. This waives that. If you worked without authorization, this waives that. So this is a great program for Liberian nationals and some of their family members as well. So how long does it take? So typically a green card application can take anywhere from a year to a year and a half in a typical environment. So it could take longer than that. I can tell you that my clients that I filed for in January, we're still waiting for those. So, use that how you may, but those things are still pending just because of USCIS. They did furlough some employees and they are still technically threatening to furlough more. So those can affect the processing time. And they're switching the company that prints the green card application, the green cards themselves. So there's even a backlog in getting the physical cards in the mail. So it's a lot going on, and the pandemic is not making it easier. So just expect a longer wait. One thing I do suggest to everyone that applies for the LRIF, especially for my clients, if we're applying for a green card, we're also applying for a work authorization, because come on, the green card gets you a work authorization. Those are typically processed faster than the green card itself. So you will be able to work with authorization, which is usually, why people want the green card to be processed faster, is because they want to be able to work. They want to be able to get their social security number and all of that. So basically what I do with my clients that are applying under this is that we also apply for a work authorization so that you can start working right away. You're not waiting a year for a green card to be approved. You can wait, typically it's 4 to 6 months, and you will have a work authorization and you can start working. Okay, you can get your social. That's something that, I know when people file on their own, and I see this a lot, they don't think about that, or they don't even know it's a possibility. But, my job is to look at my clients and see exactly what the need is, right? What's the immediate need? And sometimes the immediate need is that they want to travel. They want to be able to go see a family member. And if that's the immediate need, it's something that we can get you, right? So when we're applying for your green card, we will also apply for authorization for you to travel. We'll apply for a work permit so that you can work. And these are things that really make a difference. And that's something that I really want people to understand, is that, when I have these consultations with my clients, it's not just about, okay, we'll file these forms and we'll do these things. It's really listening to you and figuring out what exactly you need that will make a difference in your life right away. And looking at, okay, now that we are able to get you a work authorization, now we just wait for your green card to be approved. Instead of, okay, we have to wait for your green card to be approved before you can work, before you can travel. No, we will get all those things done for you all at the same time, so that you're not paying extra for work authorization. You're not paying extra for the travel permit, because we want to make sure that you are, really taking, that we are really looking at your life and your situation and figuring out the best things that we can do to make your situation better as quickly as we can. So let's see. Matthias says, please, can a U.S. ex-Marine file for a brother who is above 21 and is not in the U.S.? Yes. So as long as the person is a U.S. citizen, they can file for a brother. Like I said before, it is going to take longer if you're filing for a sibling. So I just want to also flag, just because the person is was a U.S. Marine does not necessarily mean that they are a U.S. citizen. So that's why I made sure to clarify that as long as the person is a U.S. citizen, they can file for their brother or their sister, whether they're 21, whether they're married, it does not matter. It's the same length of time that it will take for a visa to become available. So if the person wants to file for their married brother, they can certainly do that. The benefit of filing for siblings, even though it does take longer, and that usually discourages people from applying, the benefit of it is that once that visa becomes available, if your brother, your sister is married and they have children, they're coming with their their spouse and their children. It's not just them. So even though it's taking longer, and it might seem discouraging, it's not, because when they come, they're able to, if they're married, they're able to bring their spouse. If they have children, they're able to bring their children along with them. So that's something to really keep in mind when you are doing these things. It's not just about the immediate person. It's not just, okay, it's going to take too long. And this is something I get all the time, right? I get people that tell me, oh my goodness, Lily, that's too long. 10 years is too long. 11 years is too long. But guess what? If you wait that long to then, if you already had your citizenship for 10 years and you still haven't applied because you're saying it's going to take too long, well, you just wasted 10 years that the visa could have been processing. So what I always tell my clients, once we go through the process, get them their citizenship, I always tell them, this is your opportunity to file for your family, your siblings, if that is something you want to do, right? You can file for your siblings and they can benefit from that application, and their children can benefit from that application as well. So it's not just about affecting one person's life. You can affect an entire family, an entire generation of your family's lives by just doing that application. So I always recommend it. Let's see, we have an additional question. How do you report your newly born child abroad? That's a great question. And this is something people really don't do. And I always encourage them to do it. So one, you have to show, this is something that sometimes people miss in the whole process, is that you have to show that you have physically lived in the US for 5 years. So as long as you meet that requirement, there is a specific form that has to be filled. And if you're not going to be physically at the embassy when that application is processed, then you would have to basically give permission for it to go ahead without you being physically there. So there's an application process, there's an interview, there's all of that. It's a quicker process than doing an actual visa application for the child, which I never recommend if you can show that you are a US citizen and you have a child abroad. Please go through this process. So you have to register the birth of your child abroad. That's basically what it's called, is a registration. So you go, there's a certain form, there's certain documentation that's required. So you would, what I also suggest is don't just get the registration, also apply for the passport at the same time. Okay, it's something that people skip on because they're like, oh, it's an extra charge, but I'm telling you, it's something that will benefit your child. The passports last like 10 years, so definitely apply for the passport. You never know when you're going to need it, so you might as well register the birth and get the passport all at the same time. And if you would like help with that, if you would like for us to help you with that, feel free to call the office, and we can definitely schedule a consultation and walk you through the process on how to get that done. You can call us at 508-443-1788. The only caveat to that is the embassies, depending on the country, are still only doing emergency cases only. So that has delayed a lot of cases, that has delayed a lot of things, but that is definitely the best options, because once the embassies open, the services for US citizens move faster. Especially registering a birth abroad moves faster than applying for a family member through the visa program. So definitely register the birth abroad if you meet the requirements. Definitely do that. So again, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments. I am so happy to see all your questions, to answer them, because this, like I said, I'm gonna change the name to Office Hours with Attorney Lilian, because that's really what I want this to be. I want you guys to really feel free to ask me questions, and that's basically it's a free consultation kind of thing, because I can't get too deep into your case without having further details about yourself and family members. But I can answer these types of questions because, you know, but if you do want me to do an actual case evaluation and look at your particular situation, look at your particular family, and figure out ways that we can get family member status, or get family members to the US, even if it's not someone you can file for as a family member. So what I mean by that is, I always get questions about people wanting to file for their nieces and their nephews. And the way the US immigration law is set up, you're not able to do that. Okay. But you are able to help them go to school here. Because I always, like I said before, my goal is to figure out what's your actual goal. What's the actual thing that's driving you to want to file for your niece or your nephew? And most of the time, the thing that's driving people is that they want their nieces and nephews to have a better opportunity, to have a better education, to go to a US university. And the way to do that, there's ways to do that without you filing for them as a family member, right? They can get admission into a school. Like, there's all these other options that I really want people to be aware of. And that's, like I said, that's what the consultation is there for. We can walk through all those things and figure out what works and what doesn't for the particular family member that you're looking to file for. And also, because I'm on this train of thought right now, I just want to flag something, because I had a conversation with someone from Liberia, and we were talking about ways that they can get status in the US without having a family member here, right? Because that's something that people, don't think about. If you are outside of the US and you want to come here, what are ways that you can do it if you don't already have family members here that can file for you? And one of those ways is through it's basically a treaty program with the US and Liberia. Not every single country has this treaty, but Liberia is one of those unique countries that has the treaty with the US. And it's a way for someone to either invest in a business in the US or start a business in the US. And with that investment, be able to apply for a visa to stay here. It's not a permanent residency. However, you can renew that. You can renew the visa as long as you maintain the business, right? So those are things that the case evaluation really does for people, is brings up ideas that they might not even think about. I think most people think coming to the US, you need a family member, but there are other options depending on the country you're from. So it's something that I really want people to at least be aware of, and we'll keep talking about this during these Q&A sessions, because I really want you guys to know what's going on, and feel free to ask me questions. So back to our main general topic, which is US citizen children that are over 21 applying for a parent to get a green card in the US. And this is something that, I really want people to take advantage of, because right now the public charge rule is being suspended, right? They're not going to apply it right now. So if you apply, you don't have to include the public charge documents and all of that. So come on, this is the perfect time to apply for parents, because they might not meet the public charge requirements, right? They might not meet those requirements. So you really want to give your application as much of a chance as possible. Also, something I want to flag for you guys that are on this call is that we starting October 2nd, the prices for certain applications are going to go up. That's just what's going to be happening. So right now, right? Just to help people understand the gravity of the change that's about to happen in our system as far as the fees for these immigration benefits are concerned. So right now, if a child wanted to file for their U.S. citizen, if a U.S. citizen child wanted to file for their parent that's in the U.S., the filing fee is $1,760. Starting October 2nd, right? The filing fee is going to go up by at least $1,000. You're looking at 2,860. And that's because the difference is, right? And here's the thing that people need to keep in mind is right now, when you apply for a parent, you can apply for the work authorization and the travel permit without an additional fee. So you're only paying for the relative petition and the green card fee. You're not paying a fee to the US government for the work authorization or for the travel permit. But starting October 2nd, you would have to pay for everything individually, which is going to make the cost of applying for an immediate relative go up by way too much, right? So I really want people to take advantage of this right now. If you know you're going to file for a family member, this is a great time to file it because you want to get that application in and be able to get these additional benefits, like applying for work authorization without paying an additional fee. Also, the fee for applying for citizenship is going to go up by about 80%. Yeah. So it's definitely important that you take advantage of this. Again, the fees are going up October 2nd. So you want to get these applications in before that date. That's just what we have to work with. With my practice, I help my clients get their applications in as soon as possible. We start working the day that you sign up to get these things, to get you in the best position to file. Because I know, anyone that follows my page, you guys know how quickly immigration law has been changing. I feel like every week I'm posting a new update on what has changed this week in immigration. So I definitely want people to pay attention, follow Lily Legal if you are not already following us. And, I will continue to update you on whatever comes up that could potentially affect you or your family member that you're planning on applying for. So again, feel free to keep putting your questions in the comments. That's what I'm here for. We have another 15 minutes. Time flies when I'm doing these. So we have about another 15 minutes. So please feel free to put your questions in there. Don't wait till the end because I might not be able to get to them. So please put your questions in there so that I can answer it, and we can all benefit from your question. So it's not just you benefiting from the question, it's also helping our community benefit from your question, because other people might have the same question as you and they're just not they don't have the courage to ask it on a forum like this. So please feel free to ask your questions because other people are going to benefit greatly from it. Okay, so as I said, I know someone asked a question about green card holders filing for parents. So I just want to reiterate that a green card holder can only file for their spouse and their children that are not married. Once the child gets married, you have to be a US citizen to file for them. If you want to file for a parent, you have to be a US citizen as well. So that's just something I wanted to flag. All right, let's see. So the question is, which application process goes through faster? US citizens sponsoring a sibling or their permanent resident parent filing for the same individual? So it depends. Honestly, it depends on if the the individual is married or unmarried, right? If the individual is married, then the permanent resident parents can even file for them. So that's just number one. If the individual is unmarried, then the question is, how old are they? Right? If they're under 21, it's going to go faster than if they're over 21. If they're over 21, it's going to go faster than if they are married. So that's just the time frame for a U.S. citizen sponsoring a sibling and the time frame for a U.S. citizen filing for an unmarried um, a married child is about the same. So that's just so typically I'm trying to figure out, to answer this in a way that will be most helpful for you. So typically a permanent resident filing for an unmarried child typically would be shorter than typically would be shorter than a U.S. citizen filing for a sibling because, like I said, the sibling, U.S. citizen sponsoring a sibling, you're looking at least 10 to 12 years for those applications to be processed. But if the person is, I see you said under 21. If the person is under 21, it's definitely going to, if the person is under 21, it's definitely going to be faster than a U.S. citizen sponsoring a sibling. Definitely. That's because they are considered a second preference. There's a whole, like I said on my previous live, there's a whole thing on how these are done, which is there's a whole visa bulletin that breaks down what the processing time for different categories are. And right now, if the person is under 21, definitely it will go faster than a U.S. citizen sponsoring a sibling. Okay. All right. So, like I said on my previous lives, if you guys didn't watch that, if you do want me to go over the visa bulletin, please feel free to just send me a message or, thumbs up or something, just letting me know that you want me to go over the visa bulletin and show you guys how it works, what the different things mean. Because I know before I got into immigration law, before I went to law school, even I didn't understand what any of that meant. But now I use it every single day in my practice, and I know it's so confusing for people. So I am more than happy to do a live where we basically go through that, and you guys can ask me questions on the visa bulletin, and we can go through the current visa bulletin and be able to basically tell you what the processing times are, how long, if you file today, how long you should expect to wait for a visa to become available for whichever category that you are looking to file for. The only category that does not have to wait for a visa to become available are immediate relatives of U.S. citizens, which are parents, spouses, children, right? Those are immediate relatives of U.S. citizens. So those, and the children have to be under 21 to be considered immediate relatives. So as long as they meet those requirements, then there's no visa waiting period. It's just the processing of the application itself. But if they are over 21 or married, or if it's a permanent resident applying for someone, there is a time that they have to wait for a visa to become available. So if you guys would want that, would want me to go through the visa bulletin and basically explain what it is, how to read it, I am more than happy to do that in a future live as well. So, so if anyone has any questions, please feel free to continue to put them in the comments and I will continue to answer them. Again, if you're just joining us, I am Lilian Chukura. I'm an immigration lawyer based in Worcester, Massachusetts. However, I have the privilege of representing clients from all over the US and all over the world. And most of the time I get the question like, how can you represent people from outside of Massachusetts? Well, we meet over Zoom for the consultations. So we can either do a Zoom consultation or over the phone. I believe the last consultation I did with one of my clients from Liberia, we had to do it on WhatsApp because of the data issues over there. So I completely am flexible on how I meet with my clients because I know depending on where you are in the world, your internet, the internet availability is very different for everyone. So WhatsApp is usually something that is easier for people. So feel free to, if that's something that would work best for you, that's something we do offer. And I just want to let people know our office number is also, you can also send us a message on WhatsApp through our office number. So again, we're trying to find ways to make it as easy as possible for you to connect with us. So you can either call us or also you can call us on WhatsApp, because I know international calls and all of that, typically WhatsApp is an easier and better way for you to communicate with us. So we make that available for you as well. So we are getting close to the end, and I just want to let you guys know, if you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the comments and I will be so happy to answer them. The questions tonight have been so great, and I know that there are people out there that have these same questions. So I am really happy that you guys are asking them and we can basically help bring this information to our community. If you are finding this live beneficial, if you like what we're talking about, please feel free to share this with your community, because the more people we can get information to, the better. So, you know, feel free to share this, and we will continue producing these lives because, like I said, this is kind of my office hours with you guys, and I really want this to be driven by what you want to hear, what you have questions about. So if there's any topic that you want me to cover, please feel free to send me a message and I will do a live on it in the future. And we can continue basically sharing information with each other. So again, I just want to kind of give an overview of what we have talked about tonight. If you are a US citizen child and you want to file for a parent to get status, either your parent is in the US or outside of the US, the main requirement is that you have to be 21 years old the day your application is received. That's the main requirement that you would have to meet. Another requirement is that you would have to prove your relationship with the parents. So most of the time, if it's a mother, if it's a US citizen child filing for their mother, you're looking at birth certificates. If it's a US citizen child filing for a father, you file with the birth certificate, but just be aware that a DNA test might be required at some point in the process. So just, I tell my clients this ahead of time so they're not surprised when that comes up. So that's something that does happen when it's a child filing for a parent or a parent filing for a child. So just keep that in mind. And the application is really, the waiting time for the application is the processing time. How long does it take USCIS to get to your file, look through your application, schedule an interview, and all of that? How long does it take USCIS to look at your file, approve it, send it to the State Department for the embassy to schedule an interview. That's really how long the process is going to take. You're not going to be waiting for a visa because you are an immediate relative of a US citizen. And if you're in the US and you overstayed your visa, or you worked without authorization, filing through a US citizen child waives that because, again, you are an immediate relative of a US citizen. So this is an option that just is so beneficial for people that I want people to know about it. I think sometimes people are scared or worried to file through their children, especially if their child just turned 21, are in college, and are not working. They're like, well, they can't do an affidavit of support for me. Well, you can get a co-sponsor. You can get someone else to be your sponsor for the application. So don't let the fact that your child is not working yet, right? That could change by the time your application is fully processed. So don't let that be the reason that stops you from applying, okay? So again, US citizen children filing for parents is a great way for the parents to get status in the US or to get to the US. I really want to, the theme of most of my lives is just ways for people to get status in the US or reunite with their families in the US. So please, if you have any last minute questions, feel free to put it in the comments. And as always, I am so grateful for you guys for sticking with me. We're almost at the 1 hour mark. So thank you so much. And I hope you found this helpful. If you found this helpful, please share it with your community, because we want to grow our community here. We want to make sure that people are getting the information that they need to continue taking steps towards their, in their immigration journey. So that's really what we want. And that's why I do these Q&As, to make sure that the information is getting out to you guys. So thank you so much. And if you're watching this on the replay and you have questions, either about something that I talked about or something else related to immigration law, please feel free to leave your questions in the comments, because I am more than happy to answer them. So feel free to do that as well. So I don't see any questions coming up. So please feel free, if you still have any questions, put them in the comments. If not, I want to again thank you guys so much for sticking it out with me, for watching this live. I am so happy that I get to help you guys with your questions, and and you guys help other people too, because your questions lead to other things that someone else might actually have questions about and don't have the opportunity to ask it live, but you do. And that way we get to help each other and continue to grow as a community. And I am really happy about that. All right, so thank you guys so much. And if you would like an individual case evaluation where we get together and I basically go through your history and figure out what you qualify for or what a family member qualifies for, please feel free to give me a call at 508-443-1788. As I said, the immigration filing fees are going up October 2nd. So, it's really important that you take advantage of this opportunity and file before those fees go up. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you on my next live. This has been absolutely fun. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you, and have a great week. How about that? Have a great week, because we do these lives on Sundays. So have a great week, and I will see you on my next live. Bye.